The product in this video was provided by Nintendo for the purpose of this review.
Yeah, Mario Odyssey. Go buy it. Completely worth it. Why are you still here? Go buy Mario Odyssey. It's a good game. Do you want to hear my opinion on it? Oh, okay, we can do that. This Power Moon's kicking my butt anyway. Let's take a look at Mario Odyssey.
Super Mario Odyssey starts off as expected. Bowser has kidnapped Princess Peach and will attempt to force her into marrying him. Despite Mario's best efforts, he is defeated in the opening fight with Bowser and is knocked off of the airship into the town below. A ghost by the name of Cappy takes over Mario's hat and teams up with Mario to save not only the princess, but Cappy's sister Tiara, who Bowser stole to use in the wedding.
Now, the story in Mario isn't really groundbreaking, and it's not really what brings you to the game itself, not really what pulls you in. It's more serviceable. It helps the experience move along, and it gives you an objective to play towards. Rescuing the princess, something we've been doing since the 80s. It's tried and true. Now, they do throw a few little things in there, obviously with the wedding and Bowser trying to marry Peach this time, but still, it's pretty much the same, and I can't really blame them. Why fix something that's not broken? This game is all about the gameplay.
After finding the Odyssey, which is an airship that lets you travel to different worlds, Mario and Cappy set sail to stop Bowser. The feel of this game is unmatched in the Mario series, and I dare say this is the absolute best Mario has ever controlled. Whether you're running along or making tight, precise jumps, everything feels like you have complete control. Choosing frame rate over resolution was the correct choice by the development team. I'm sure this team could have opted for 30 frames per second and 1080p, however, this would have made the game feel slower, and opting for a lower resolution 900p and 60 frames per second was the right choice for a platformer like Mario Odyssey.
The biggest thing about the game that makes it different from any other Mario game and pretty much any other platformer that I can think of is the capture mechanic. You take Cappy, you throw Cappy at certain enemies, which is pretty much most enemies in the game. There are very few that it doesn't work on. You then capture them, take control of them, or possess them, as most people jokingly say. I mean, that's technically what you're doing. Possess them, and then you're now controlling the enemy. Your control scheme changes up drastically, and ways you approach different puzzles also change heavily. It's a really cool idea, and something as simple as that just changes the entire look on Mario.
The capture mechanic is what makes each world feel truly different. Enemies vary from world to world, each with their own abilities that help to define that particular world. Capturing a bullet bill, for example, lets you open walls in the desert or traverse large pitfalls. Capturing a Gushin in the Seaside Kingdom will let you shoot across the water and reach heights unattainable otherwise. Puzzles are everywhere to test your abilities with each new enemy, and they feel creative throughout. My favorite capture, along with everyone else's I'm sure, was the T-Rex that we saw in the E3 trailer. I like the placement of the enemy since it happens in the first hour of the game, and it might seem like a small decision in the grand scheme of things, but the number of pictures on social media that I saw of people outright excited to control a T-Rex so early on proved how much of a hook it was in the beginning. I kind of see it as a nice icebreaker showing this isn't your typical Mario game.
Something that was really interesting to me about Mario Odyssey is despite how linear it technically is with its story progression, you go from world to world, after you get enough Power Moons you then move on. Something that was really interesting to me is everyone had a different experience. Everyone ended up going for different moons at different times, and none of us had the same experience despite it being a very linear game. And I like that about Mario Odyssey. It really does have that sense of wonder, that sense of exploration, something that if I go back and play the game all over again, I can have an experience that is unlike my previous one. If I talk to somebody online or a friend, they will tell me all about different things in the game that I probably don't know about. There is just so much it packed in this game when it comes to secrets or different moons to uncover that you won't get bored at all. It'll take forever to do everything in the game completely. Even tiny little hidden gems that don't even have anything to do with moons, whether it's like callbacks to different Mario games or hidden coins that are hidden out of place specifically for people who do crazy exploration and jumps. It's all there to reward the player and reward you kind of thinking outside the box, exploring, and it really makes Mario Odyssey so much fun.
Power Moons are needed to power the Odyssey, and they are everywhere. I'm not even kidding. Each world has tons of moons. Some are easy to find and others are much harder. The idea of Mario has always been to cater to all audiences, and by making some moons easy to find, it allows even the most casual players to enjoy the game with little frustration. The requirements to move on from each world is very low, and completing the game can be done pretty quickly by gamers who are familiar with platformers. I was able to complete the storyline in roughly 12 hours.
That's the one thing I hear people complain a lot with Mario Odyssey, is that it's too easy. And while the story is easy, getting the minimum amount of moons is easy. When you actually get to the end of the game, you complete the game, no spoilers, it becomes way more open. Things get very interesting and things get very hard. There are some moons now that are just there. Nothing is off limits after you complete the game. And there are some moons that I'm telling you, very, very difficult. You have beginner level moons that are great for people, younger kids or casual audiences that don't really get into platformers like some crazy people do when they do those insane jumps off the wall, jumps off Cappy, and to reach crazy high parts of the map you shouldn't be able to. And there are people who just want to kind of go through the game and play and have fun, have old school Mario fun. And this game is designed for everyone, and the difficulty of power moons kind of ranging in difficulty makes it so anyone can approach the game. No one feels like they can't play this game. And those people who say it's too easy aren't actually exploring enough. You have to go out, look for moons, because you'll find some that will take you a while to actually get. Tons of run-throughs trying to get this one moon, and fortunately there isn't a serious punishment for dying. You just lose some coins, which again makes it way more interesting to keep trying to go after these moons rather than try to salvage and ration lives. Now the game to me is amazing, but there are some little nitpick things that bothered me. The camera at times did feel a little off. Now, not all the time. There were small spots where I was like, man, I wish the camera wasn't going in this direction or stuck against the wall so I can't see Mario trying to do different jumps, things like that. There were specific times with certain enemies that would take over. Bullet Bill seemed to be the worst one, where I would have the camera kind of stuck around the wall and it'd be hard to see what's happening when I'm controlling him. But for the most part, it was okay. Small nitpicky things. The other thing that bothered me were the motion control implementations. It seemed like you had to use motion controls if you wanted things to be done right. Sure, you can do things like spin the stick around to throw Cappy in a circle with the Pro Controller, just as an example, but by the time you're doing that, it might be too late. A lot of times when enemies are really piling around you towards the end of the game, you want to be able to press a button and it just work instantly. Throwing your hat up is another example. Doing it in handheld mode, good luck, because I am so worried to just start throwing my Switch around like that, and I'm sure other people are as well. What I hope in the future, because I think this can be patched in, is Nintendo kind of sits down and says, okay, where can we map these two? Whether you hold a button and then press the throw button like Y, or do we have it so that it's just set up for different shoulder buttons to do this in combination, maybe hit both at once, or just let us decide. It'd be really interesting, I think, for them to patch that in, and hopefully they do, because that would eliminate one of my two concerns with the game.
Overall, my experiences with Mario Odyssey remind me of my experiences with other 3D Mario games. I always wonder, how can they possibly reinvent Mario and make his game fit in with current trends in the gaming world? How can they make an IP introduced to us back in the 80s still feel fresh and new in 2017? Every time they manage to surprise me with new ideas that flip the entire series on its ear and give me a new reason to fall in love with the series all over again. Super Mario Odyssey is a must-buy for the Switch, and shows that Nintendo is currently, in my mind, the most creative game developer of our time.
Really, you couldn't spend $60 on a better game right now on the Switch. This is it. And I will go as far as to say I like this game more than Zelda. And I don't think that could be a stretch. I think there are some people out there who would prefer this game over Zelda. I just think at this point, with the performance of this game at 60 frames and it looking so great, I just personally think this is a better game to me than Zelda, but it'll be an awesome debate at the end of the year, and you'll see a lot of people kind of going back and forth on it. Either way, Nintendo hits another home run with this game next to Zelda in the system's first 7 or 8 months. You don't see that very often. You don't see many places giving two games from the same publisher 10 out of 10s. It just doesn't happen, especially not in the system's first year. Either way, Nintendo, great job. I love this game. Go buy it, $60, completely worth it. I'm gonna go play it now. Yeah, I'm not coming back. Go buy Mario Odyssey.